So guys, in this video, we'll be starting with CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Now before we start with CSS, let me just tell you one thing. HTML is not yet over. There are many more things to be studied in HTML. But the best way of studying HTML is by studying it with CSS, and that's why we are introducing CSS now. Now, what is the role of HTML in development of a website? So, HTML basically tells the browser that what is to be displayed on the web page, and I repeat the word what over here. Whereas CSS tells the browser that how those things should be displayed on the web page, and here I repeat the word how. So basically, CSS will do the styling of the HTML elements. Now over here, the next question is, why can't we do the styling using HTML? So I'll give you the answer for that question. But in my answer, very often I may use the word, this one, Worldwide Consortium. Okay. And the short form of Worldwide Consortium is W3C. Consortium basically means any organization. So what happened is that there was one point of time where HTML was there and CSS was not there, and the web developers used HTML for styling purpose also. Now there were some difficulties with this. What difficulties, I'll explain you. And because of these difficulties, this World Wide Web Consortium decided to create CSS for the purpose of styling. By the way, this W3C is an international body. Okay, it is basically an organization which defines several standards for the internet. So whatever rules are there concerning the internet, these rules are decided by W3C, World Wide Web Consortium. Okay, and it was the W3C organization which had developed CSS for the purpose of styling. Now the question, what is the need of CSS? To understand this, let's take one interesting example. So I have this Atom editor and I have this program test.html. So as I always tell you, just pause the program, just pause the video and go through this command, do that. Okay, so you must have seen that in the body over here, there is this h1 tag, h2 tag, h3 tag. Then there is this paragraph. Again, there is h3. Again, there is this paragraph. Now, what I will do is I will execute this using the preview HTML. So this is the output over here. Okay, the output over here does not require any explanation. Now, let's say you have a specific requirement over here. What requirement? Let's say you want each heading H1, H2, H3. You want each heading in red color and the font of the heading should be Arial. By the way, the default font over here is Times New Roman and the default color over here is the black color. So you want these headings H1, H2, H3 in red color and the font should be Arial. So for that, what we can do? So I hope you remember that we had studied the font element in HTML. So what I can do over here is, look, I can write font. Okay, so font will come over here. Okay, and this font will be closing over here. See, I'll close the font over here. So now this web development is inside font, and then over here I will write something like face equal to, by the way, face is nothing but a name of the font. So face is equal to Arial. All right, and see over here, see carefully, the font has changed. Okay, I hope you are realizing that. And I'll write color equal to, all right, now see, even the color will change now, red. Okay. All right, so now I'll close this and look. Okay, so that is it. Let me just check, is this correct? Yeah. Okay, now I'll go here and I'll execute this. So this is the file test.html. Let me just check why this everything is in red color. Did I make a mistake over here? Font face equal to Arial, color equal to red. Okay, and then, yeah, sorry. Do you realize what mistake I did? See carefully. See, these are some of the mistakes which even you can do. Now, I had applied the font element only to this H1, but it got applicable to this entire web page. So, can you figure out my mistake? Although this was not the point of discussion over here, but since it has happened, see, I missed a slash over here. See, now I'll put a forward slash, and see, things are what I wanted. Okay. All right. Now let's come to our point. Now what I wanted is, I wanted only the headings to be in this font and this color and not the entire document, not the entire web page. So for that, what I need to do is, I need to put this font element everywhere. Okay. So I will copy paste this. See what I'm doing? I'll copy paste this and I will put it here also. Okay. Instead, then this HTML will come over here. Alright, see, I'm putting this HTML over here. Alright, and the same thing will happen here too. I'm sorry. So I copy this font element once again. I copy the font element once again and I put it in H3 here. And once again, I put it in H3 here. But I want the structure of HTML element. So I cut it from here, I put it over here. Okay, then the same thing over here, I want empty elements, so I cut from here. Okay, and I put it over here. Okay, and now I finally save the program and I'll execute it. So let's see. So now I execute it. Okay, so this is what I wanted. See, this is H1, this is H2, this is H3, this is H3. And the ones which you see in black color are paragraphs where I don't want that styling to be applicable. Okay. So now, basically over here what I did is, I did not use the CSS over here. I have simply used HTML and I have used the font element of the HTML to do some styling over here. Now, if you look at the approach which I took over here, you should realize that this approach is something very not productive. Okay, it is not very efficient. Why? Because if you see carefully that I have applied the same code. Okay, I have applied the same code not once or twice, but at least 4 times, or I will say exactly 4 times. See, the first time over here, second time here, third here, and fourth here. Okay. So this is something which is not a very productive, very efficient way of doing coding. Now what would have been an easier way over here? So the easier way over here is that I have a kind of rule which states the browser, which tells the browser that make the font Arial and make the color red for H1, H2, H3. That means I should be able to write only one statement, or I will say one rule, something like that. And in that one statement, I will specify that all H1, H2, H3 should be in so and so font and so color. So now how can we do that? So we can do that using CSS. Okay. So now what I will do is, I will show you how to introduce that CSS over here. We'll see the detailed syntax in some time. Now let me just undo everything I did over here. So I will undo everything. Okay. If you want to do undo, you can either you do it using your keyboard, or you can do it using your keyboard, or you can go to edit and over here see there is this option for undo. I'm using a MacBook, so I have the option of Command Z. I think in Windows it is Control Z. Anyway, now this is the original program. Let me execute this. Okay, so this is the output. All right. Okay, now how do I apply the CSS over here? So now if I want to apply CSS over here, what will I do is, within the head section, okay, I will give the style element, and this style element is used for CSS styling. So now I hit the enter key and I get something like this. Over here by default you will get media equal to screen. So right now we don't need it, so I have simply deleted it. Okay, so the style element starts in line number 6 and ends in line number 8. Now in line number 7, what am I going to do? Okay, so see, answer a very simple question, that over here the styling was applicable to which HTML elements? By the way, I'm not using the word elements just like that. When I say elements, I mean something. So over here, the styling was applicable to which HTML elements? It was applicable to H1, H2, H3. So what I will do is over here, I will write H1, okay, comma, H2, comma, H3. All right, after comma, you may not give a space, that is okay. Then I will give a pair of braces, and within the pair of braces, I will write something like font family. By the way, in CSS, the name of the font is called font family. Okay, so font family could be Arial, Courier, Verdana, Times New Roman, and so on. So I'll write font family, and over here, I can write, let's say, Arial. Okay. Similarly, over here I'll write color, colon. What was the color? Red. Okay. All right. So now what you see over here, from here till here, okay, this is the CSS code. Okay, this is the CSS code. Now let me execute this. So okay, so I got what I wanted. Okay, so see, once again I got H1, H2, H3 in, see, this is H1, this is H2, this is H3, this is H3. So the font of these is in Arial, all right, and not only that, they are in red color. Okay, so over here what I did is, instead of using that approach where I use the font element, I have used the CSS code over here. So this which you see from line number 7 to line number 10 is basically the CSS code. To be very precise, this is called a CSS rule, R-U-L-E rule. Okay. Now you understood how to use CSS. Now let's jump into the detailed syntax of CSS. Okay. So look. Now a C language program contains statements. An HTML program contains elements. So that way the CSS code contains rules. Okay. Now what is a rule? So you have already seen a rule. A rule looks something like this. Okay, sorry. See where this mouse pointer moves? The rule looks something like this. So this is a CSS rule. This is a CSS rule. Okay. Now this CSS rule is divided into two parts. What you see in red color, P, okay, it is called selector. This is called selector. And what you see in green color over here, is called declaration. So this is selector and this is declaration. Now if you were paying attention, tell me what is the purpose of the selector over here? So very simple, the selector over here will tell the web browser that this CSS rule should be applicable to whom. So for example, if I write P over here, it means that a CSS rule is for the paragraph. Okay, so now this is a selector and this part is called declaration. Now every declaration will contain property value pairs. I repeat, property value pair. So this is the property, and this is its value. So it is quite obvious that the web browser is being told that for every paragraph, the font should be Arial. Similarly, over here, we are telling the web browser that for H1, H2, H3, the font should be Arial and the color should be yellow. Okay, I hope it is simple. Now, within these two braces, either you can write one declaration or multiple declarations. For example, over here, there are two declarations. See, two declarations. After every declaration, you will give a semicolon. Okay, all right. Now, CSS can be used in three ways. So you can use CSS using external style sheet, internal style sheet, and inline style sheet. Sorry, inline style. I will not say style sheet. Okay. Now, this technique which we used over here. Okay. What we did over here is that we gave the CSS code in the style element of the head section. So this technique is called internal CSS. Why it is called internal CSS? Because we are giving the CSS code inside the HTML document, inside the HTML program, not separately. Now to understand this in more detail, we have a specific program. Okay, so let's go to this program, internal css.html. Okay, so over here, this is the CSS, this is the CSS tag. I mean the style tag of the CSS. Now before I proceed further, let me tell you something. Now before HTML5, it was compulsory that within the style tag you give this attribute type is equal to text slash CSS. So this attribute was compulsory whenever you wanted to do internal CSS. However, HTML5 onwards, this attribute is no more required. So in some of my programs you will see this, in some of my programs you will not see this. So please understand, in HTML5 you may or you may not write it. Here I have purposely written because in your college or in some other books you may see this particular attribute, but remember it is optional. Okay. Alright, now let me see how attentive you were. Look at this code and tell me, in this code you see how many CSS rules. You can pause the video if you wish to. So there are 3 CSS rules. This is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third one. Okay. Now look at the selector for the first CSS rule. Now who is the selector? The selector is the body. So body means over here the entire web page. So now what will happen? These two declarations will be applicable to the entire web page. So this means that the background color of the web page will be yellow and the font family will be Verdana. Okay. Similarly, you tell me what rules are applicable to H1, H2. So it says for H1, H2 color will be dark blue and margin left should be 20 pixel. What is this margin left? I'll tell you very soon. For paragraph the color is red and the margin left is 50 pixel. Now this is the corresponding body in which I have written plain simple HTML. If you want, you can pause the video, you can go through this HTML code and then we'll execute this. Come on, do that. Okay, now let's execute it. So preview HTML. Alright, so as you clearly see over here, the entire web page is in yellow color. Okay, not only that, everything on this web page is in Verdana font. So whether it is the heading, whether it is the paragraph, everything is in Verdana font. Now what else? So you see H1 and H2, they are in dark blue color and over here margin left is 20 pixel. Now what is the concept of this pixel? See, I hope you know that a computer monitor is divided into several rows and several columns, and each cell, when it is divided into several rows and several columns, each cell, each element over there is called a pixel. Okay, so it's something like this, just a sec. I hope you have seen a table. So in a table you have several okay. So I hope you have seen a table. So whenever you have a table, in a table you have several rows and several columns. So let's say you have a table like this. Just a second. Okay, so let's say you have a table like this. Okay, now in this table there are several rows and several columns. How many rows do you see over here? 3 rows. And how many columns? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 6 columns. Okay, so that way the computer monitor is divided into several rows and several columns. And over here each cell, that means this cell, if you talk about this one, each cell on the computer monitor is called a pixel. Now over here this cell appears to be very big, but a pixel is very small in size. Alright, so now you know what a pixel is. Coming back over here, now over here I have written that margin left 20 pixel. So what this means is, this means that when H1 and H2 are displayed, they should be displayed 20 pixels from the left hand side. Okay, so that's why you see some space over here. See this, you see some space over here. So this space which you see over here, this is actually 20 pixels. Now let me make it 5 pixels. I make it 5 pixels. Did you notice something? You should have, okay. If not, see, now I'll make it 50 pixels. See carefully. Did you understand what happened over here? Alright, if you see carefully, the paragraph is also 50 pixel. I made heading also 50 pixel. So see carefully, the paragraph and the heading are aligned now. Let me make it 40 pixel. See what will happen. Alright, so now this heading is slightly to the left. Now also let's understand one more thing. We'll talk about this later also. Let me make it 20 pixel and let me make it a comment. By the way, in CSS, comments are given in the same way as you give in C language or Java. Okay. So now what I have done is I have made this margin left as 20 pixel. Okay. That means now the margin property is not applicable to the headings. Now, if you are very attentive, you will still see that there is some space still left over here. Can you see this? Okay, see carefully. Some space is still left over here. If you see carefully, this 3 is not actually with this left margin over here. Okay, there is still some space over here. So what happens over here is, be attentive, understand this properly, that whenever you have a web page, what your browser will do is your browser will apply some default CSS settings to your web page. I repeat, if you have not given any CSS properties for your web page, then your browser will apply some default CSS properties to your web page, and that is why you see this margin over here. All right, so I'll show you that after some time. So basically this is a default margin which your browser has given. Now let me make it back to 20 pixel. All right. So in this particular program, you understood the internal CSS. Now let's see how to do external CSS. By the way, have a look at this code. I will keep the code same, this code same in external CSS. Now in external CSS, what will we basically do is, we will remove this style element from here, okay, and we'll put the CSS code in a separate file, and that file will be called something.css. Now how do we do that? So for that, I have a program external css.html. So first, very quickly go through this body. See, this body is exactly same, nothing new over here. Okay, now see what have I done in this head element. Now in this head element, you will see that I have kept two particular elements over here, and they are called link elements. Okay, by the way, this link is an empty element. So when I say empty element, I hope you remember what it means. It means that it will not have a closing tag similar to BR and HR. Now I want you to pause the video and go through the link elements on line number 7 and 8. Come on, do that. Okay, so I hope you saw that. Now every link element over here has 3 attributes: href, type and relation. As I told you previously, this type has now become redundant. So even if you don't write this in HTML5, it is okay. Your browser will work absolutely fine. Okay, so this has become redundant now. Now let's talk about this href and this relationship. Now first of all, let me talk about this relation. Okay, let's talk about this href first. Okay, so now what we are doing is, by writing the link element over here, what we are basically doing is, we are linking this HTML file, this HTML file with some other file. Now which other file? So pay good attention over here. What am I doing is, I am telling the browser that there is a folder called CSS, and inside the folder CSS there is one file styles1.css. I repeat, I am telling the browser that there is a folder called CSS, and inside that there is styles1.css, a file, and whatever code is there in this file, that code should be applicable to this HTML body. Alright. Moreover, over here I am writing relationship is equal to style sheet. So by writing this, I am simply telling the web browser that this file should be treated as the style sheet for this HTML document. I repeat, I am telling the browser that this file should be treated as style sheet for this HTML file. Okay, now let's go to that CSS file. So see, now this is the HTML. Now inside HTML I have a folder CSS. See this, see, and inside CSS I have this file styles1.css and styles2.css. Okay, so now let's talk about styles1.css, this one. Now this is styles1.css, very simple. It tells you that the body should have background color light blue and the font family should be Verdana. Then this is styles2.css. What it does is it tells us that h1 h2, this h1 h2, okay, its color should be dark blue, margin should be 20 pixels. For paragraph, the color should be red, margin should be 50 pixels. Okay. So now what you do is, for your more understanding, what I have done is I have kept all these files over here on a single page for your better understanding. So what you can do is you can pause the video and you can go through this page where you see everything together. So this is the CSS, sorry, this is the HTML file, this one. This is styles1.css, this is styles2.css. And I don't need to tell you one thing over here, that we can apply multiple style sheets. We can apply multiple CSS files to a single HTML file. So for example, over here there is a single HTML file for whom we have created two CSS files, which is okay, that does not matter. Okay, so pause the video and go through all this. Come on, do that. Okay, so I hope you saw all this. Now let me execute this program. So now I'll execute this. Okay, so this is what we get. Now if you were really paying attention, tell me, is this the expected output? No, it isn't. Can you tell me what is the problem? The problem is that whatever styling we had written in the second file, that styling is not applicable over here. Now the error over here lies in line number 8. So can you figure out what that error is? Come on, do that. Now this is a very common error. Many students do this and then they cannot figure out. Then they come back to me and then they tell me, sir, whatever you had taught was wrong because of this simple error. Can you tell me what the error is? Look, in line number 8, I have given this slash, which I have not given in line number 7. Look at line number 7, there is no slash before this CSS, whereas this is a slash over here. By the way, by putting a slash over here, I am telling the web browser that go to the root folder. Now, what is the root folder? About it we'll talk sometimes later. Right now, let's not go into all these things. Okay. Anyway, right now, this is not the root folder we are dealing with over here. See, right now what happens is, if you pay attention, you will understand this properly. Let me just close this. See, on my desktop, I have this folder web development, and inside web development, I have HTML. Okay. Now, inside HTML, I have two things. One is this folder CSS, and then this file external css.html. So what I want you to understand is that this folder and this HTML file are in the same level. Okay, both of them are inside this HTML folder. So when we are giving the path over here, we should not put this, slash. And see, immediately you got what you wanted. I put the slash again and it goes, see. Alright, I remove the slash and the styling is applicable. So when I'm removing the slash, I'm telling the web browser that go to the folder CSS, and inside CSS you will find styles2.css. And over here, if I don't put the slash, then it is understood that this folder CSS is inside this HTML folder. Okay. So I hope you understood this. This is one common mistake which many students do. So now this was the concept of external CSS. Now over here, let's study one more thing. Now I will go to this styles2. Okay, by the way, in styles1.css, I have given the background color light blue. Now let's say I do one thing over here. It's interesting. Pay attention. I go to this styles2.css. Okay, and in styles2.css, see, I'll do something. See what I'm doing. I will remove this comment. Now please be attentive. When I remove the comment, also keep one of your eyes over here. Did you notice what happened? See, what I did is that in this styles2.css, I wrote the body, and for the body I wrote background color white. Now over here, if you are paying attention, you will realize that there is a conflict. Why there is a conflict? Because in styles1.css, I am writing that the background color should be light blue, whereas in styles2.css, I am writing that the background color should be white. So over here there is a conflict. Now tell me, over here the web browser is listening to whom? It is listening to styles1.css or styles2.css? Obviously styles2.css. Can you tell me why? The answer is very simple. It is listening to styles2.css because in this HTML file, the link for styles2.css is after the link for styles1.css. So the web browser will listen to that CSS file which has been listed more recently. Okay, I hope that is simple. Now let me go and change that again. So what I'll do is I'll go to styles2 and I will remove, sorry, I'll make this comment. So when I make this comment, everything will come back to normal. Okay, so here I have explained you the concept of even external CSS. Before I proceed further, let me tell you one thing to make things more convenient for you. Do you notice something interesting over here? If you look carefully, you will realize that, see, this dark blue has background dark blue, this red has background red, this white has background white. Now let's say I write yellow over here. Look what I'm doing. I write yellow over here. Okay. Now if I write yellow over here, see, this turned out to be yellow. Now what happens is that whenever you are using external CSS, you can achieve this effect by installing a plugin, by installing a package. So again, I hope you remember I had told you to install some packages. So over here, there is a package called, where is it? One minute, just a minute. One minute. I can't locate it over here. There is a package called Pigment. Okay. So let me go to preferences and let me go to packages, and over here I'll type Pigment. I'll type Pigment. Okay. Now see, there is a package called Pigments, and over here you see uninstall, which means it is already installed on my Atom editor. So it is because of this package that you see these colors. So please install all the packages which I am telling you. They will help you a lot. Alright, now till now I have taught you internal CSS, external CSS. Now there is one more way in which CSS can be given, and that is inline CSS. But before we go to inline CSS, once again let's recollect what happened in internal and external. See, in internal CSS, what we do is we give the CSS code inside the style element of the HTML file. In external CSS, what we do is we create a separate file, okay, whose name is something.css. We keep it inside a folder called CSS, and then in the HTML file we create a link to that CSS file. Now in inline CSS, what we do is, or what is inline CSS used for? Inline CSS is used when we want to apply styling to only one specific HTML element. If you didn't understand what I am saying, no problem. To understand this, I have a program, inline CSS. By the way, I'll give you all these programs. The source code will be given to you. So once again, see, this code is same. See, this code is same, with only one difference over here. Can you spot the difference? So if you paid attention, you will realize that in line number 40, you see something called style attribute. So this thing which you see over here, this thing, okay, this is called inline CSS. Now why it is called inline? I always tell my students, pay attention to the name and derive the meaning from the name itself. So it is called inline CSS because over here the CSS code, the CSS styling is in line with the HTML element. It is given on the same line as the HTML element. So over here it tells us that this H2 should have green color. So let me execute this. Let me execute this, and so see, this OOPM is in green color. All right. Now there is something more interesting which you should figure out over here on your own. Now I want you to go through this CSS code from here till here. Please understand that in this file I have given inline CSS and I have also given internal CSS from here to here. So what I want is, I want you to go through this internal CSS, then I want you to go through this inline CSS, and then you should tell me, do you observe something which is different over here, something which is noticeable? Come on, do that. Whatever things are required, those things are there in front of you on the screen. You don't need to go back or forth. Okay, so I hope you read it. Can you figure out what is something different over here? See, if you pay attention, you will realize that when I wrote internal CSS, I gave this H2 over here, okay, and for H2 I gave color dark blue. See carefully, for H2 I gave color dark blue using internal CSS. Again what I did is, for that H2 I gave color green. Now because of this, what is happening is, if you look at the output, you will realize that is SPA and DS and AOA, they are in dark blue color, but over here this OOPM is in green color. So if I ask you a question, what is given more importance, internal or inline? The answer should be inline CSS. In fact, there is a topic over here which is called cascading rules. So basically what these cascading rules tell us is that a web browser will give utmost importance to inline CSS. If inline CSS is not there, it will give importance. It will give importance to internal CSS. If internal CSS is not there, it will give importance to external CSS. And if that is also not there, then the browser will apply its default CSS, the default CSS. Moreover, in my notes, I have also given that when you should use external CSS and when you should use internal CSS. So I want you to read this on your own. I am sure you will understand this. Now, to understand this better, cascading rules, I have created one program over here. So see, this is the program. Where is it? Yeah, cascading.html. Now it's a very simple small program. Pause the video and go through this. Come on, do that. Alright, so over here I have this H1 and the H1 will display cascading rules. Now over here I have the inline CSS which states that the color of this H1 should be green. By the way, I never spoke about the syntax of inline CSS, but I hope that you have understood this on your own. If you want to give inline CSS, you will write style equal to, and after that within double quotes you will write the declarations. So basically this color colon green semicolon is the declaration. Okay. Anyway, so the inline CSS over here states that this heading should be in green color. Now for H1, see, for H1 I have given internal CSS which states that a color should be blue. Now not only that, over here what we will do is, see, this is the folder CSS. Inside the folder CSS, I have created one file, look over here, cascading.css, and inside that I have stated that the color should be yellow. Okay, now one thing which I need to do over here is I need to create a link. So over here, look, I will create a link and I'll hit the enter key. So when I hit the enter key, see, all these things are ready made. I'll remove the root over here, see the same mistake, and I will change the name over here, cascading.css. Okay, So now see, I have the external CSS in line number 6. I have the internal CSS from line number 7 to line number 11, and I have the inline CSS in line number 14. Okay. Now let's execute this. I think you already know what the color of this cascading rules will be. What will be the color? Well, you guessed it right. It will be green. So see, it's green. Now let me remove this inline CSS. Let me remove this inline CSS. See, what is the color? Blue. Now let me remove this internal CSS. See this blue color. Let me remove the internal CSS. What is the color? Yellow. Now let me remove the external CSS. What is the color? Black. And when you get the black color over here, this black color comes not as it is. Okay, as I told you, the browser has its own default CSS rules. So this is the result. The black color is the result of the default CSS rules of the browser. Now let me put everything back. So I'll do Command Z, Command Z. See, it's again blue, and Command Z, it's again green. Okay, so this was cascading. This was an introduction to CSS. I'm sure you understood this.